In recent days, new images and news have been shared about Jungkook in the second season of the show Are You Sure? In this new installment, he can be seen alongside Jimin on a beach in Vietnam, accompanied by an entire production team, with numerous cameras and technical personnel around. Both participate in an activity called parasailing, a popular experience that was also part of the show's Bon Voyage 2, Bon Voyage 3, and Summer Package 2019. The setting, the energy of the place, and the way the scenes are filmed are very reminiscent of those previous projects. This type of content is completely planned. These are recordings organized by the company, which follows a script and goes through several editing processes before reaching the public. Although many fans consider the interactions between Jimin and Jungkook on these shows to be spontaneous or romantic, they are actually part of a product prepared for promotional purposes. The cameras are always present, recording from different angles, which makes it clear that nothing that happens there is a private or intimate moment between them. The show Are You Sure is entertaining and carefully produced. Watching Jungkook enjoy the activities, laugh, and have a good time is enjoyable. However, it's important to keep in mind that he's following a script. His closeness with Jimin in this context is part of the content planned by the company and shouldn't be confused with something more personal or romantic. There are no displays of affection that go beyond the script, despite what many fans would like to imagine. On the other hand, over the past few months, there have been moments that do seem to reflect more authentic aspects of Jungkook's life, especially those related to his relationship with Taehyung. What many didn't know until recently is that Jungkook and Taehyung have been training together at the same gym for almost 3 months. They both commented that they've been sharing this routine for over 2.5 months, which shows that they've been spending quality time together, away from the cameras and spotlights. This type of shared activity outside of a professional setting is very different from what is seen on recorded programs. The time Jungkook and Taehyung spend together seems more private and natural. Unlike during the filming of Are You Sure? During these outings, there's no production crew following every step, nor are there cameras recording everything they do. When they're seen together, it's usually captured by fans or people who happen to be there, which lends more authenticity to their encounters. Furthermore, their behavior when they're together conveys a close and special connection. It's not forced, nor part of a publicity stunt. It's clear they enjoy sharing everyday moments, such as working out, going out to eat, or simply spending time together without having to show themselves in front of others. This type of relationship, based on trust and camaraderie, is what many interpret as a true display of affection. Taehyung and Jungkook have maintained a very strong relationship for years, but it's also evident that there is a unique connection between them. The times they've been seen together naturally, without the presence of professional cameras, have been precisely those in which they've been shown to be closest and most relaxed. This reinforces the idea that their relationship goes beyond what is shown publicly and doesn't need to be validated by media appearances or productions controlled by the company. The difference between the recorded moments and those experienced in private is clear. While programs like Are You Sure feature carefully planned scenes, the interactions between Jungkook and Taehyung in their everyday lives seem spontaneous and full of personal meaning. This not only reflects the type of relationship they have, but also their desire to keep some aspects of their lives away from the public eye. It's curious to see how some people insist on constantly linking Jimin with Jungkook, even in situations where they are clearly fulfilling work commitments. Many of these moments correspond to filming for the company, where each member has their own space, responsibilities, and appearance times. For example, in a recent video, you can see Jungkook appear first on the scene, and minutes later Jimin enters from another spot. Despite this, some people continue to insist they are always together. If that special closeness truly existed between them, as some claim, it would be logical to see them spend more time together, even when the cameras are no longer rolling. But what is frequently observed is the opposite. As soon as the filming or event is over, each one goes his own way. This happens not once or twice, but repeatedly, which suggests that beyond a professional and friendly relationship, there is not as constant a connection as some try to make it seem. Furthermore, for years the idea that they were inseparable has been repeated, but reality shows otherwise. It's not uncommon to see them walking separately, acting independently, or simply being in different spaces without much interaction. The image of unity that is sometimes projected seems largely dependent on the recording context or the presence of the crew and cameras, rather than a genuine need to spend time together. In contrast, the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook presents a very different picture. Their connection is perceived as more natural, more authentic, and less dependent on the presence of the audience or the recordings. They don't need to constantly show off or generate content for others to notice what's going on between them. Their dynamic is calmer, more reserved, but also more consistent. A clear example of this genuine closeness was when Taehyung mentioned that Jungkook had been training with him for over 2 months. Interestingly, during that time, there was no need to post videos or broadcasts to show what they were doing together. This lack of constant exposure reinforces the idea that their relationship doesn't seek external validation, they simply spend time together because they enjoy doing it, without turning it into a content strategy. There's also that live show that caught fans' attention, where the two appeared together in the same car, a moment that was both of them. They weren't promoting anything or presenting an official project, they were just sharing a personal moment. The natural way they carried themselves, how comfortable they looked, and the way they interacted reflected that they weren't acting for anyone, they were simply being themselves. That sincerity needs no explanation, because it can be felt. It's also not necessary for them to be constantly making public trips, hosting programs, or recording as a couple to demonstrate that their bond exists. Taehyung, in particular, has been very clear about his view of privacy. In the song Are You Sure? He hinted that for him, there are moments that should be kept out of the public eye. He commented that a dinner or a shared space doesn't require the presence of staff or cameras because certain moments should be enjoyed without interference. Therefore, when comparing relationships, it's important to look at the facts rather than assumptions. It's not about creating rivalries between groups or defending baseless ideas, but rather recognizing what each interaction conveys on its own. And in the case of Taehyung and Jungkook, the consistency, mutual respect, and the fact that they don't feel the need to always be in front of the cameras to validate what they're experiencing says much more about their relationship than any theory or rumor. The way Taehyung and Jungkook behave when they're together doesn't need too many words. There's no need to explain what happens between them because, just by observing them, you can see they have a special connection. They don't try to stand out or attract attention with grand gestures. Instead, what really speaks volumes about their relationship are the little things they do when they're around each other. Every time they share the same space, their way of acting changes. It's not a coincidence. They look at each other differently, approach each other naturally, and touch each other without hesitation, as if there were no one else around. There's something very clear between them, their closeness isn't something new or forced. You can tell they've reached this way of relating over time, as if it were something that arose naturally and is now part of their daily lives. The most interesting thing is that they don't go out of their way to explain themselves. They don't make grand declarations or try to convince anyone of what they feel or think. Their body language is enough to understand that what exists between them is strong and sincere. This isn't just an ordinary friendship. Nor is it just a habit between people who spend a lot of time together. It's something deeper, reflected in their way of living together, of looking at each other, of understanding each other without words. Taehyung and Jungkook don't need to act differently when they're in public. What they do in front of the cameras is very similar to what they do when no one is watching. That's part of what makes their relationship so unique. The consistency between what they show and who they really are is a sign of trust and stability. They don't try to pretend something they don't feel. Nor do they hide. They are just themselves, with a connection that goes beyond any expectation. When they are in the same place, there is no stiffness or nervousness. On the contrary, they seem comfortable, calm, as if they understand each other with just a glance. Sometimes, a simple gesture between them can say more than an entire conversation. This fluid way of communicating shows that there is a story behind it, a relationship built over time, trust, and mutual respect. Many people can interpret what they do in different ways. Some people think they're just common gestures between friends, but others notice there's more to it than that. The truth is, there's no need to exaggerate or make things up. Just observe how they treat each other. The way Taehyung fixes Jungkook's hair, or how Jungkook makes sure Taehyung is comfortable, are details that, although seemingly simple, reveal constant attention, a genuine concern for the other.